Snapped what?
You just talking.
We are starting, by the way. Did I mention that?
No.
Yeah.
Can I just sit here, or like, do you want me to be involved?
I'd love for you to be involved. Perhaps we should turn on another light.
Like this main living room light does look pretty dark and gloomy.
Yeah, super dark and gloomy.
How's that? Too bright?
Boom.
That is better.
As long as we balance this out.
Is this too obnoxious?
Yeah, turn that off. That's much better.
Figure this stuff out.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. And I was going to tweet this out.
Oh, man.
We will give it a second while we wait for some people to come in here. See what's going on.
Some people to show up. Did you have questions, Ralph? Or what do you
I have questions, I have answers, I have resources, I have...
Actually, though, you have questions?
Oh, I'm so prepared.
Right on.
Quan727, thanks so much. Thanks for dropping in. Hi Z, what's going on? Thanks for the support. A work call. Oh no. Well, I hope it goes well. Thanks for dropping in. We're just going to give it a few minutes here while we wait for people to show up, and then we'll get things started. Lou's kind of hanging out in the background here. She will join us hopefully a little bit closer in the on the drum throne shortly. Shortly, yeah.
Yeah.
No pressure. No pressure.
Sure.
So, yeah. Quan and Z, thank you guys for showing up on a Thursday evening. Thanks for the retweet, Stephanie. Appreciate it.
Your phone's just going off.
Yeah. Always appreciate the favorites and retweets, Z. Much appreciated. Hey, sis. Hey, Vicky. How's it going? Quan says, I hope I'm saying it right, Quan727, she says she watches our videos every day. Which is impressive, because we don't put up a video every day. Just kidding.
Really nice.
That's awesome. Thanks so much.
I don't recognize that name.
No, me neither. Are you a silent viewer? We were talking about this recently. We wonder how many silent viewers there are. Because obviously there's not usually one comment per viewer.
Right. There's clearly a lot of people that watch that don't comment, which is totally fine.
Yeah. That's a lot of the time how we watch videos.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear and see us okay? First of all, let's just clarify that part of things. Yeah. That's a little bit easier on the eyes, isn't it? Boom.
What did you say?
Oh, I don't know. Did I specify?
Did you say she?
Oh, maybe I said she. I'm sorry. That was very presumptuous of me.
Especially because you really can't tell with that name.
No, you can't.
That's okay.
Cool,
sorry.
Cool.
We actually have a split right down the middle of like male and female that watch. So
which is kind of nice. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Vicky, I believe Quan is watching old videos back from dreadlock days. Those were the days.
Those were the days.
I believe Vicky is a fellow concussion victim, if that's the best way to put it. So one thing I'll throw out while we're waiting for some people to show up, but one thing I wanted to put out there is we do some of these like discussions. For me, it's been a lot about like concussion stuff, and I don't know if our channel is the best spot to post those sorts of things. So if you guys have any suggestions, if you think it's fine. Like, we just post everything about life on our channel, but maybe there should be a little more separation. I don't know.
What do you mean, like having another channel?
Well, I've thought about having another channel that's dedicated more to that sort of thing, because like I'm not sure if the viewers who watch our vlogs are interested in this topic.
Right.
You know, but like I know a lot of people we've run into online, like Vicky. She said she has had a brain injury. I know there are a lot of people who pay attention to these videos who watch our channel, but I don't know if I don't know if it should be somewhere else, because like, yeah, I don't know. So I don't know if you guys have any suggestions. Suzanne Blake, love your music. Thank you, Suzanne. What do you mean by you love the music? Is it the band's music or the vlog music? I'd love to know what you mean. And thank you, either way.
And my hair is getting long.
I like Lou's hair. She had braids in, and she took them out. Now it's all frizzy and nice. I like it. It's cute. Oh, the bands. Thank you, Suzanne. That's awesome. Is Heather still in the comments? Where's the DoTerra representative?
Speaking of headaches.
So, DYS. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, guys.
So, what I was saying is, I don't know if this is the most appropriate spot for this sort of discussions, but it's the platform that we've been able to reach other people who have dealt with this sort of thing, so that's where we're sticking with right now. Couple things I want to mention before we start, and I will probably mention it throughout the conversation, is number one, we're running a giveaway during this live chat. So, if anybody's interested in entering the giveaway, I will explain that. In a second. First, I want to, for those of you coming to this live chat, whether it's during the live video, the live stream, or watching it after the fact, I have posted a podcast that has been a long time coming, and that is specific to concussion, and it's with my doctor, one of the doctors that I saw for my symptoms, Dr. Crawford, and there is a hour-long podcast on concussion prevention and management on My Parents' Basement, which is my podcast. It's our podcast, but it's yours. It's sort of my baby podcast project that I started when I was struggling a lot. The links to the podcast, the links for iTunes and SoundCloud are in the description, so you can check it out there. Jeff Kleinman in the house. There's a fellow concussee in Boston. What's going on, man?
Yeah, you need a name for all your fellow concussies.
The concussies?
Like a club. The concussion. It's not a great club to be a part of, but...
No, but we stick together, you know.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
Okay, so two things. One, go check out the podcast. Jeff, I was just mentioning that second part of the podcast discussion I had with my doctor is up on My Parents' Basement, so you guys can check that out. And number two is the cracked beans. I love it. Number two, speaking of my sister in the comments, for this live chat, we're going to run a giveaway for this awesome stuff right here. My sister is a DoTerra representative, and is that the best way to say it?
DoTerra?
DoTerra rep, DoTerra
representative
person. But this here is an oil blend. There's peppermint in here. What else is in here? Underneath the label. So this is it's a headache oil, and I've been using it quite a while for my neck because I have a lot of residual neck problems, and specifically up near the suboccipital muscle area, the base of the skull. If I put this stuff on it, it gives it like a really nice cooling sensation, and it helps relieve headaches and tension and neck pain. So I want to give away one of these to a fellow cracked bean, a fellow concussee, or someone who can use this. So Heather and I are going to hook somebody up. So there's a giveaway link.
Right.
There's a giveaway link in the description. So click on that, and there's a bunch of ways to enter. You can do one or all of the entries, and we will get in touch and have that shipped out to you. The contest will run until Monday, just because some people, I'm sure, will not be able to make this live stream, and they can enter after. So technically, we are called the Wellness Advocates, but I think it's a stupid title. I would agree with that. I think that is a very stupid title. I'm kidding. That's not... I like... I'll stick with rep.
Rep?
Wellness Advocate.
Wellness Advocate. Did you look at what else was in here?
I didn't actually check what else was in there. These glasses are throwing me off a little bit. I'll have to take them off. Vicky, I started watching because I needed to know I was not alone in this unfortunate club we're in. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad.
That was a big part of it. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're. That's why you're here.
Because that's what you did too. Just knowing that you're not alone, like it just feels like. I don't know. It's such a tricky injury, you know.
Yeah. So, before I move on in the comments, if you guys have specific questions that you want to talk about, then post those in the chat. There's a couple things I wanted to talk about that people had sent me separately. So we'll get on with that stuff. But yeah, it is an unfortunate club, Vicky. I hope you're making progress. It's been a while since I've heard from you. So let us know in the comments too. I want it. What I would like is for this to be a place where people can share their own advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm not like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to provide a place where I can share my experience, share my knowledge that I have researched and gone through a ton of different therapies over the past 2 years. And I would like a spot for other people to do the same thing, so that we can all kind of help each other along in that, in the progress of recovery. Jeff, PCS it's improved significantly over the past 2 years, but there's still residual symptoms that, like right now, I'm sort of struggling to feel connected because it's been a very busy week, and so there's sort of this like veil. It makes it hard to think clearly and interact properly, if that makes sense.
And probably reading a screen and being so like involved is probably difficult too.
Yeah, when things get busy, I really notice certain things like word recall, short-term memory. Yesterday, I left all the cupboards open and the fridge open, and I had no recollection of doing that.
Sorry, it's not funny.
No, it is. It's hilarious, but it happens especially when things get intense, like stressful and busy, and things have been that way here for a while. So it's just learning to write things down so I remember things. It's learning to take time to meditate so I can sort of get my mind back into a calm space.
I think taking breaks, which is, I don't think something that you do enough, you know?
No, I don't. I'm not good at it because I'm a hustle kind of person. I want to get things done. I'm constantly trying to, work on the podcast, work on the videos, do my job, work in a band. Like, there's a lot of stuff on the go all the time, and that's how I've always wanted to do it. That's how I've always done it. But it makes it hard when you sort of hit a wall and then things become disconnected. My neck gets tight and uncomfortable, and it's hard to do my job. It's hard to interact socially. So it's much better. I've definitely learned a lot of coping mechanisms, Jeff, and I usually tell people like I'm 85% most of the time, 85 to 90% of what I would would have been before this last concussion. So that was a long-winded answer, but Suzanne's had a stroke. That's scary.
Constant migraines.
Constant migraines.
Oh. gosh.
I don't know if this stuff would help you, Suzanne, but I just put it on, and it's just like, man, it's nice.
It is nice.
Hey, John, how's it going? Vicky, do you experience an ebb and flow of symptoms? I'll feel like days I feel better than others, but never like I did prior to concussion, which was my 6th concussion.
Ooh.
Stink. That's about how many concussions I've had. Some more minor, some not so much. But yeah, definitely. Like, especially when things are busy. When things are busy, I really notice it. When I take on too much, I really notice it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because I want to do more. So anyway, stroke at 35. Wow, that's crazy.
That's so young.
Casey Nelson, did you notice an impact on your drumming skills? You know, for almost a year, I barely played, and I almost got emotional for a second. That was harder mentally for me than it was physically, because that's my meditation, that's my release. So I notice an impact on my skills? Yeah, you always notice an impact on your skills when you're not using them. But when I found an outlet, I used to like practice my rudiments down by the water, and that helped me get back into it. And then I've actually noticed a huge improvement in my drumming, even in just the last 6 months. I was saying to Lou, I watched a video of a blues show that we played in March, and that compared to my drumming abilities now, playing with the other band, I've noticed a huge improvement, and a lot of that is just because I'm playing regularly. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely tough. It was hard because I had to give it up for such a long time. That's what I love to do. So you definitely notice it. I had to dislocate. Sorry for laughing, Quan. How did you dislocate your finger? I use an oil a massage therapist friend of mine mixes for me.
And it has peppermint also.
Peppermint is awesome. Marcel, that is a great question, and that is actually one of the questions that I wanted to address, because some people had mentioned that in emails or comments. So, what do you think about that, Lou?
How do you cope with your husband's TBI?
A lot's changed.
A lot has changed. In the beginning, it was really difficult. Like, it's like you were a completely different person. And even things like I still had to work when you weren't working at first, and I came home, like, he was really emotional, and so dealing with the emotional side of things was difficult, but also at night, I remember going to bed, and it was such a process, like, I wonder if I'm going to sleep tonight, like, you know what I mean? It was difficult, because he had a lot of anxiety, but now, like, he's a lot better, like, he's close to who he was before, you know? But it's just hard, like, I don't know, the first 6 to 8 months were kind of rough. Like, who is this person?
Even the first year, I would say was really hard on you.
Yeah, because like I feel like you needed me more than ever, but sometimes it was like too much for me to handle.
I had severe anxiety the first, definitely the first 6 months, to the point where like I had to call Lou multiple times at work because I just was having panic attacks and so that's gonna have a major impact on your marriage. One, because you're putting a lot of stress on your partner to take care of work and take care of you, and also for me, like realizing that that the anxiety and the depression and those things weren't necessarily coming from a logical, like there wasn't really logic behind it, and I understood that, but yet I couldn't justify that with what I was feeling, which was just sheer panic, and my body's just in fight or flight because I'm trying to cope with the overstimulation and all this stuff. So yeah.
What did you read? You guys are making us cry. It's hard. It's okay. Do you want me to read something?
Sure. I think it's like... Yeah, you read something.
It's always hard when there is only so much you can do to help. That's true too.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Tears here too. Yeah, it's something that's not understood. I feel like concussions, like there are a lot of tears.
All right, I'm good. No, I think it's like we haven't talked about it in a while, so I think that's why it's hard to relive the past.
So those are
It's
crappy days.
bad days.
I think communication too, like I said to Ralph right from the beginning, because when I was doing a lot of research about concussions, I came across like a lot of athletes who had concussions, and a lot of them who weren't married anymore, or some who had committed suicide. And so right from the beginning I was like, Ralph, you got to talk to me about all of these feelings. Like, I want to know when you're feeling low. I want to know when you're feeling depressed, or like anything. And I think just communicating that is important, because you need to be honest with each other, you know?
Yeah.
And like, unfortunately, those are things that happen. Like just feeling disconnected and feeling like you're in limbo. Like I don't know what you were feeling through that, but...
Yeah, but that's definitely one of the things that I've heard from multiple people, and myself included, terrible. Where it's like, because you've started to like damaged your computer system, and you just like, there's this feeling of disconnect, feeling of like darkness. And it just feels like you're sort of half dead, and it sounds like weird, and it probably doesn't make sense, but it can bring on a lot of those emotional symptoms.
Yeah. So I think making sure you have somebody that you can communicate that to, because that was important for me to know that.
And we said right at the beginning, like, because Lou had done some research
on it, I guess.
Yeah. Lou had done a lot of research, and unfortunately, people people don't talk about that side of it much. You know what I mean? It's a lot of like, this is the physical or chemical reaction that happens. Like doctors talk about it in a very science-based way, which is great, but it doesn't really help alleviate the feelings of depression or thoughts of suicide or severe anxiety, debilitating anxiety. Like it's hard to communicate that to someone who's on the other side of it. Even if they have a scientific understanding of the process. But we made a commitment early on to just like be 100% honest, which is really, really hard. Really hard when you're experiencing things like that. But we just promised each other that we would be completely honest, and we did. I think I did an okay job of sharing that with you. And somebody had mentioned, like, I hope Ralph didn't feel guilty. I did feel guilty. I still feel guilty sometimes about having, like, Lou had to move, we had to change our lives. We had to adjust. We had to live in her parents' basement, and she had to work. I couldn't work for almost 8 months. And so obviously you're going to feel guilty about that, because I'm so used to being the not the breadwinner or anything, because Lou's always been working, but I'm always working hard at my job to try and make ends meet. So it was really hard to give that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Suzanne, it does definitely make you thankful for little things.
Yeah. Mm. I feel guilty about what I put my family through, even though I could not help it. That's why I'm so emotional.
Vicky, where are you in your recovery? How far out are you?
Mm-hmm.
And what's still giving you troubles?
My favorite songs. I don't know. Six months PCS and still not doing great. Have you regained your balance back?
Yeah, my balance has been pretty good. After I did some vestibular training for balance and also prism lenses. What?
Remember some of the stuff you were doing? Were you doing something like this? It was making me feel sick looking at you.
So coincidentally, I was sick the first time.
Like sick.
When I was throwing up for hours.
It's terrible.
But yeah, it was vestibular training, and if you have not done vestibular training and you're having trouble with balance, you definitely need to research it.
Yeah.
It's something that I talk about with Dr. Crawford in the podcast, so check that out in the description. Because that's something that he offers in his therapy. Vestibular training has to do with visual space, your spatial awareness, your balance, and coordination. So you definitely should be doing some sort of training if you're having trouble with that, and you need to, see the right person for that. But yeah, my balance is fine for the most part now, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say after a few months of vestibular training, my balance was fairly normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like that helped. It was hard at first, though.
Mm-hmm. It was really hard at first. Like, all the therapies were painful at first, but that's the common trend. That's the common thread between anything important in life is, it's painful. Anything worth doing is painful at first. You know, it's hard, but you have to kind of like push through it. And any therapy, well, that's not true, because floating wasn't.
Was it?
Well, it
was.
It was actually. It was like anxiety inducing.
Yeah. But like physically painful on your neck at first. You
Physically painful, and it was anxiety. So anything that's uncomfortable, or anything worth doing, is going to be uncomfortable at first. And I can't think of anything that I did that wasn't the case for. Vestibular training, maybe chiropractic, but that wasn't super helpful either. So, you know, floating, it was hard on my neck. It was hard on my anxiety, because you're in like this little box. And what else? Walking, like even just like running and walking and getting up to speed, that would cause balance issues, and increased blood flow would cause like vision issues. And Vicky was January 24th, 2016. So you're just a few months after me. Working again and accepted new normal. Hey, I'm curious, Vicky, what have you done? What are you doing for work, and how have you found getting back to it? That's one thing I have continually struggled with. Sitting in front of a computer and doing screen stuff. But Casey, this is one of those things. Floating, I don't know why I haven't done it more. It is expensive, and it's not close by, and that's probably, really my only excuse.
Yeah, just expensive probably, but it's something we can put aside for.
It has been one of the better things that I've done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back. Thanks, Heather. I can't read your comments because I'm gonna cry.
I might look up that song. I like songs. We're probably. Did you mention we're gonna stay on until 9?
Yeah, we're going 8 till 9. So
if you have any specific questions or anything, another half hour.
But we did quickly talk about Lou's side of things. I don't know if you had anything else to add.
I don't know.
About that. Another question that somebody had posted in a comment was the tinnitus. Tinnitus was really bad for me at the beginning, and it's still not fully gone for me. In fact, I noticed today when I got home, I think it might have something to do with my neck, too. I'm not sure. But there's a constant high pitch ringing all the time, but that's really significantly decreased, so it doesn't bother me anymore. It's just sort of like a really, really high ringing constantly, but it's very low volume. But I notice it. If it's quiet, I notice it. And every once in a while, I'll still get like a low ring, but I don't know if that's related to a neck issue, because it comes and goes. But it's just like a woo, woo.
You've mentioned that before.
But when I first had it, again, I don't know if it was a neck-related thing or not, but when I first had it, it was constant. It was just woo, like low and high, just constant, and it would drive me nuts.
Oh. That's terrible. Can I ask a stupid question?
Sure.
When you were floating, do you hear it? Are your ears underwater?
Yeah.
And you hear it?
Yes.
When you're going
But when you get out, it's better, because you're just like, you're just like hearing that and only that for like an hour and a half.
Oh.
And then you get out and you take your earplugs out and you've been submerged, so everything's like almost too loud when you get out.
Oh, I never thought.
Because you've had sensory deprivation, so you're just overstimulated when you come out. But it's been a while since I felt that relaxed. Vicky, doing much better though, even for a promotion. Wow, promotion at work.
That's great. Oh, programmer.
And back to writing code for work. Programmer, wow. That's good, that's good. Have to get up, I get up and walk away often. Tinnitus. Still have that too. Always. Yeah, it sucks. I've never come across anything that alleviates that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the other symptoms, there have been things that I can, you know, pinpoint to mitigating or alleviating, like, you know, balance or vision. Balance, vestibular exercise, and physical exercise has helped with that. Vision, you know, prism lenses and visual therapy has helped with that. With my neck, physiotherapy, floating, that's helped with that. With the mental, with the emotional issues, good nutrition, good sleep hygiene, overall routine. Nutrition's key, getting, you know, like healthy fats and stuff like that in your diet, and eliminating inflammatory foods. That stuff, I can all pinpoint those things to helping specific symptoms, but with the tinnitus, it's just disappeared slowly over time. So I don't know if anybody has any suggestions for that, but
2 tones at the same time.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's terrible.
Wow, I'm happy that I mean, I'm not happy that you're experiencing that, but I'm glad someone else can identify with that frustration of, like,
yeah, gosh.
It's like you're perpetually stuck at a
you mentioned this before.
A band practice.
Yeah, like when you go to an orchestra or something.
Yeah.
Like,
so I don't know if anybody did
oh, jeez, that's brutal.
Look at this. The DoTerra rep is stepping in. If you're into oils, helichrysum, am I saying that right, Heather? Helichrysum is good for tinnitus, and Canadian Audiology says you can do music therapy for tinnitus.
Music therapy.
Interesting. I did do some listening to music before, like to help with sleep early on.
Yeah.
Helichrysum. Cool, I'll have to check that out.
Should write that down.
Speaking of which, guys, for those of you who are not here at the beginning of the podcast,
that was like a really good sentence.
Wow.
It was solid.
Wrong medium.
So fast.
Wrong medium. For those of you who were not here at the beginning of the live stream, there is a giveaway in the description, so check that out. You can click on the giveaway link to enter to win a DoTerra PastTense headache oil. So anybody who is interested in that, check it out. You can. We've set up a little contest through Gleam. You can click on that. It'll take you to a landing page, and you can do one or as many as you'd like of those entries. And
it's an awesome thing to get.
Yeah.
Because when you first got your head injury, my sister sent a little concussion care package. It was really thoughtful. But do you remember there was a little essential oil blend, and it was a headache blend, and every night he would take it off and be like I've used all over. I don't know what the blend was or anything, but
there was lavender, there was
peppermint too, I think,
and chamomile
maybe.
But I've been using that. I hadn't even thought about it, but I've been using some form of essential oil since the beginning.
Yeah.
And now it's just convenient because Heather is into DoTerra, so. So I get this stuff from her.
I noticed just looking at the screen,
the skull
that's back there.
Yeah.
That's so creepy.
This is Halloween.
Yeah.
Vicky's a musician as well.
I could have perfect pitch by finding the interval of the pitch you want to find. I don't know.
That'd be impressive. Let me know if you figure that out.
What the note is? The notes, I guess.
I've pinpointed mine to the top tone is definitely like above 12 kilohertz.
Above 12 kilohertz.
Marcel, good question. What, if any, medications did you take? Well, initially, I took, like over-the-counter stuff, Tylenol 3s to deal with pain. I took,
sorry.
I forgot about this, but I was on some stomach stuff for a while because I was having some stomach problems, which I'm pretty certain had to do with anxiety and just like nausea from the concussion.
You were on sleeping pills for a while.
I took a lot of sleeping pills called amitriptyline, and they have said that apparently there are studies that show that the amitriptyline helps with anxiety as well as sleep, and some of the headache stuff. What I found personally, and again, like I'm not the person to be asking about health medications and all this stuff, but talk to your doctor is what I'm trying to say. The amitriptyline for me, I would eventually fall asleep, and I would sleep for maybe a few hours, and then I would wake up feeling super groggy, tired, and disconnected, and stomach problems. I did not like it. I was on it for a couple months.
Yeah.
I took a lot of them. They started me on 1 pill, and I wasn't working, so I had 2 pills, and then I wasn't working, so they said take 3 pills. So I was taking 3 amitriptylines before bed, and I was still only getting a few hours of sleep, and then waking up feeling awful. So
I thought it was medication that you were taking that messed up your stomach, and then you started taking medication for your stomach.
Yeah, that was part of it too, because I was taking, for pain, I was taking Tylenol or Advil or something, and they thought maybe, my doctor thought that it was caused because,
Acid?
I forget the specific over-the-counter medicine, but it can cause disruption. Anyways, I ended up having to take stomach stuff, but I'm pretty sure the whole time my stomach problems were because of anxiety. And then I was prescribed Ativan for anxiety, and I didn't take Ativan. I may have benefited from it in hindsight at certain points, at really low points. But I just decided that I wasn't going to take any more medication. And again, that was a personal decision. It was not a medical professional's recommendation at all. But I just said I'm done with sleeping pills. I'm done with pain pills. I'm done with stomach pills. I'm done with anxiety and depression medication. I don't want any of that. So I'm sure they would have been hugely beneficial in certain points, because there were definitely points where I was really low, but there was also points where it scared me that I had a full bottle of prescription medication in the cabinet. So, and you don't really think about that sort of thing. You think about like, oh, that can be a helpful tool when you're feeling low. But there was also points where I was scared to have that much medication accessible. So, yeah, I reached a point where I just wanted to try everything else that I could.
I think it was at that point when you decided no more medication that you would wake up at this time every morning, go to bed at this time every night, eat healthy. It became very
and
scheduled at our place.
Very scheduled, and I
hated it.
I was anal about it, but you know what? It helps so much, and I think people sort of half-ass that sometimes. Whether it's nutrition, whether it's sleep hygiene, whether it's routine. I was like a Nazi about being in bed at the same time every day, up at the same time, regardless of how much sleep I got. I was in bed at 10:30, and I was up at 6:30, and that was my schedule.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter how much sleep. So that's to help reset the circadian rhythm. I would focus on nutrition. That's when I started getting really serious about eating paleo, avoiding all sugars, avoiding grains, anything that would, cause inflammation. And you just have to get serious about that if you want to see real change. Marcel, do you walk around with constant pain then? No, not now. Then, yes. I understand that everybody has a different situation too. I know a lot of people suffer like chronic pain from injuries like this. And I did have a lot of discomfort. I had a lot of pain, but I just decided I didn't want to take any more pain medications. I realized for some people, you know,
Would help
it
them.
might be necessary.
Yeah.
So I'm not suggesting that everybody take that route, but you got to know what's right for you, and you have to know what level of discomfort is appropriate to improve, and what is just not smart, you know. And that's where you need some guidance from somebody who knows what they're talking about and has some sort of concussion training and certification. Ibuprofen, yeah, Suzanne, it is ibuprofen. I took too much ibuprofen.
Yeah, I think that.
And that caused some acid issues.
The plus and the minus. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
It was probably hard for you to decide.
It.
You know, like.
Yeah, it was tough to make that decision, but it's also, I think that we kind of had a little bit of that mentality going into it. We're sort of hippie, you know. We like our healthy food and our exercise and our yoga and all that stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
But because it works. Yeah.
That's true too.
That's true too. You
Needing
can't
to
just
get off of them.
can't just stop taking them.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I want to reiterate, like, I think that they can be hugely helpful, and there are times where I probably should have taken them, but yeah, there are lots of things that you need to weigh and consider.
Is there anything that you would suggest to people, like if someone's like, oh man, I just got a concussion, what should I do?
I would suggest different things for people who just had a concussion versus have been suffering with a concussion for a long
months.
time.
Yeah.
For someone who's fresh, concussed.
So let's say
I think rest is super important, and even for post-concussion syndrome, you know, past 3 months, rest at times is really important. But especially initially, one of the reasons that I think that it has stuck so long for me is I went right back to work. I went right back to trying to do everything. I went right back to screens. We watched a movie that night, and then after I watched the movie, I ended up in the hospital with an anxiety attack because I didn't pay attention to my body, and that sort of started that perpetual snowball of anxiety and depression, and then physical decline because I didn't give my brain time to rest, and then it just started to shut down. So definitely initially you need tons of rest.
And define rest. Some people think, okay, sitting down and watching some TV or reading a book.
Again, like I'm not a doctor, but what Dr. Crawford, and he talked about this a little bit in the podcast, which is in the description. Again, another plug. I'm so okay. A quick aside. I'm sorry that it's taken so long for those podcast episodes to go up, but I did put a lot of work into those with Dr. Crawford, and I really hope that somebody will find some value in them. So yeah, that's just a quick aside. If you guys feel like sharing it with someone that you know who's dealing with that stuff, yeah. Anyway, what he said to me was, for the first 2 weeks, and this was after I didn't see him until 3 or 4 months in, but he said the first 2 weeks are you put me on the sleep routine, no reading, no screens, and go for 2 walks a day. And that was my routine for 2 weeks. And in between there, I was allowed to listen to podcasts and audiobooks and stuff, because your brain uses a larger percentage to process visual information than it does audio information. So that was how he explained it to me. So it's less stimulation for you to listen to something than it is for you to look at a screen or focus on a book. And then after that period of time, I was allowed to start incorporating things in if it didn't bring on symptoms. But yeah, again, like you got to get your medical professionals' opinions on all these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, rest is super important, and it's hard to do, and you have to learn. Meditation is a really good way to get used to being quiet with your mind, which I found really hard initially too, because I would just sit all day and it would feel like people were just yelling in my ear the whole time. Like, it felt like I was constantly stuck in a room, like in a pub where there's 7 conversations and it would be perfectly quiet outside and I would just be staring at the ground. But it would feel to me like I was stuck in a crowd where everyone was having, all these loud conversations and I could never shut it off. And so
that's why you would get so upset at family events when everyone was yelling at you at one and you couldn't focus.
I still have trouble with that. If there are multiple people talking at me, I just get angry, to be honest.
Oh, it's crazy.
I've learned to deal with it a little better, but I would have some emotional outbursts before, I think.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's just
you were talking about like how you would just hear.
Yeah, it honestly would just be like 7 people are standing around you. It feels like you're stuck in the middle of a dark room and there's 7 people standing around you just all yelling at different things in your ear 24/7. And you have to... It took me months to get used to this, like, my brain just not shutting off and, like, learning to rest and meditate and try, like... It's hard to explain this, but, like, what meditation taught me was not to try and avoid that that noise, that constant noise, but to just to notice it and then sort of accept it with time. And that took a long time for me to get to that point. And I still have, if it's a busy day or if it's a busy event, I still have trouble sometimes when I just like try and calm myself, quiet myself. Like I can kind of feel it right now because my brain's moving, and if I just like stop and be quiet for a second, it's gonna take some time to just like bring it down,
Yeah. Everyone is yelling at family events.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's hard when you're sitting down at a dining room table and someone starts talking. Husbands and wives are terrible at this. This is one thing I noticed since being married to someone who has a brain injury, is because you feel empathetic towards them. Like, you pick up on little things like that, and husbands and wives are constantly interrupting each other. And then the kids will jump in, and they'll, like, join the story, and they'll interrupt. And I remember sitting at, like, it was like Christmas. I don't know what it was. We're sitting around the table, and I was like, how can Ralph even follow this?
Our family's pretty loud, though.
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Psychiatric patients. Maybe I don't have a concussion.
I'm in tears that someone else understands this. I wish I could hug you, Vicky. I don't even really understand it, but just living with someone who has gone through it.
Mm-hmm. It's frustrating, and it's frustrating when you can't explain it too. Like it's so hard to explain to people sometimes. Like, well, why do you have so much trouble working? Why don't you just like I've had a hell of a time trying to get back to full time, and I just can't. I have trouble focusing. I have trouble, and I'm doing everything that I can and more to try and get back, but I lost my train. But
getting back to work, you can't explain it to
people.
it's
hard to explain. You can't just tell somebody like, oh, well, I just have trouble focusing, or oh, you know what I mean? Like, it just sounds like such a pathetic excuse. Like,
and it's like you don't have time to explain why to people. Like, even like coworkers and stuff that know what you're going through, they're like, "Oh, is Ralph back at work?" I'm like, "Yeah, part-time. You know, almost
Why
full-time."
part-time?
Well, why? What does he feel
And
when
then-
he's driving, or what does he feel when he's looking at a screen? I'm just like, "Oh, I don't have time."
And then like I've been exploring, you know, avenues for different work, but it's like I haven't worked full time at a job in 2 years, and I'm scared that I'm not going to be reliable because of this stuff. You know, I'm scared that like that if I do take on a job at a different career, that what if I still can't do that to my full capacity? You know?
Yeah,
It's hard. It's frustrating. That's been one of my hugest frustrations lately, because I've learned to deal with more of the symptoms. But now it's just trying to figure out what life looks like, what work looks like, because I'm just having such a hard time.
Yeah.
And they don't know that, you know?
Yeah.
Because how do you explain it?
Got 3 minutes, buddy.
Yeah.
Remember the tablecloths? We had to turn them over.
Yeah.
That plus the actual noise.
I still have problems with patterns. I still lose depth perception with patterns, which is annoying sometimes. I'm trying to think of an example. I just had one recently where certain patterns I lose depth perception, like
That pillow?
This pillow here can cause problems, stuff like that. Interlocking brick, I lose depth perception. I don't know, Vicky, if you ever had any
This
of
striped
those.
shirt, I feel like, bothers you. No?
Yes. Yeah. If there's just a little
bit's
a little
okay?
scandalous piece showing, then it's not so bad. But if
Wow.
it's full on stripy boobs, then it's like, whoa.
Where are the boobs?
Where are the boobs?
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be able to laugh about some of that stuff too. Like the tablecloths was pretty funny because my family was just watching me, and I was just like staring at the table, and then they just flipped them over.
Like, yeah. And then do you remember that same night that you were leaving? We were like going down to our little cabin, and some of the family was like, "Wait, are you guys leaving?" And then you just left, like he couldn't handle all the people. And I was like, "We'll be back. We just need to take a break."
I feel like if people didn't understand, like my family's been very understanding, and I think if they didn't understand at the time, they would have just thought I was a dick.
Yeah. Wait, where are you going? We need a hug, and then you're gone. If people know who you are, they know it's not normal for you to behave like that. You know what I mean? Just leave without giving a hug or whatever.
Jeff, how are you doing, man?
Yeah.
It's been a while since we touched base. I know you had a couple setbacks. I hope you're doing better. Vicky, it's no fun not being able to talk yourself out of it. I've run marathons, and this has been much more challenging than that. Concussions are just like mental illness. Hard to explain to other people. People don't understand it because it's not something you can visually see, like a broken arm. Plus, you have people saying it's just a concussion. Yeah, that's annoying too. And you know what? I've started explaining to people concussion. I don't even like the word concussion anymore because people sort of attribute that to like a minor incident. And the way that I explain it is any injury that takes more than a year of my life away is not a minor incident. So to me, it's a brain injury, you know? And I get that people who have had, you know, I know there are people who have had car accidents who have been, you know, severely injured, and that is, you know, they're left with brain damage, they're left with a more severe injury, and I understand that, and that I just think that there are varying degrees of the injury, but it's still a brain injury. It's not a minor injury because it takes so much of your life away, and I just think that it's important that people understand that it's not just a headache, it's not just a minor injury from hitting your head. It has taken so far. I feel like I'm learning to start over again. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of reset life to zero, and then you have to kind of learn to walk and talk again as a different person. And that's not a minor injury. That's not a broken arm or a no offense, Quan, but it's not a dislocated finger. You know, it's a that, and not to take away from the pain of those injuries or the frustration of those injuries or the lasting effects that can have on your body, but your brain is your control system, and when you damage it that way, it's not minor. It's not.
My wife and I are going through the same as you two. You've been a huge help. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcel. I appreciate you sharing that. Hope you guys are doing okay. And you guys, anybody involved in the live chat, anybody involved in watching our videos and stuff like that, if you ever have questions or you want, you know, like I try and say over and over again, like I'm not a medical professional. All I know is my experience, and I just want to be able to help point people in the right direction if I can. And if I can't, then maybe there's somebody else in the community that I've met with that has had a similar experience that will be able to help you out. You know what I mean? Like, I've met a lot of cool people. Jeff, I met Jeff, and I got to meet up with Jeff in real life in Boston, and we had conversations about concussions and how it's affected us and changed our lives. And most recently in Chicago, Jose, we got to meet up and chat about all of this fun stuff. But yeah. So thank you, Marcel, is what I'm trying to say. And if you guys ever want to email, we're just ralphmiller@gmail.com. Invictus Games, a great forward step for invisible illnesses.
Toronto.
We saw recently, when we were in Toronto for Bufferfest, we saw some advertisements for...
Your brain injury on the left? You fell on the right.
No, it was my left.
I thought you were holding your right hand.
But when I hit, it was my left side. Because I was looking at the camera. I was holding like this. Looking at the camera.
You're holding it in your left hand.
I was holding it in my left.
You went down on the right, I thought.
No. Well, I went down on the right, but I hit my left side because I was moving this, like this.
Ugh. Well, there you go.
I'm finding people are beginning to understand that concussions are serious business. Yeah. Yeah, I think people are. You know, yeah. One thing that really made it clear to me, more clear, was there were multiple instances in the NFL of athletes committing suicide, and there's something in football called, well, it's not just in football, it's in any sport involving repetitive head trauma or subclinical concussions, which is basically like repetitive head trauma that doesn't necessarily register as a full concussion, but it can cause chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is like just residual brain trauma. And two young guys in the NFL that I know of, that I know of, but that I've read about, shot themselves in the heart to commit suicide because they wanted their brains to be examined because of the injuries. And it's serious stuff, you know. Like it can alter your mood. It can alter your it can make you irritable. It can make you emotionally. It can make you aggressive. There are instances of people killing other people because of emotional changes. You know, you're playing with your control system, and it's dangerous.
Yeah.
New normal. That's something you hear a lot.
Yeah, new normal.
No, Vicky, don't apologize. That's what this is for. It's a discussion spot. It's a...
Let me see what she said.
Where's that? Sorry. Oh, the hard part is missing your old you. Yeah.
It's a big challenge.
That is that's been a big challenge for me too, Vicky. I think at this point in my life, I think I'm far enough out of it, and I've learned a lot, and I've grown a lot, that I feel like I'm a better person than I was before. So while I miss the sort of adventurous, physically active and insane person that I was before, that would do backflips off benches and jump off buildings and stuff like that, I miss, or longboard, bomb down the street next to cars on a longboard in the city. I'm not that person anymore, but I feel like I'm a better person overall because of negative experiences that I've been able to use to grow from it and meet new people and all that stuff. I know it's hard at first, and it takes a lot of time, and I definitely miss those things too. Jeff, it is hard to find the right balance. Good night. Thanks for hanging in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's catch up again soon.
Yeah. TBI and PTSD. Wow.
That's a headache.
How have we not heard
Oh.
that?
For veterans that have TBI and PTSD. Crazy.
That's cool.
That's cool. Invictus Games. Yeah, we'll have to check it out. We saw some
We
billboards
saw
or
signs
something.
and billboards and people
In
wearing
Dundas.
those jackets when we were in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And I meant to look it up. And then I forgot about it.
There we go.
So.
All right, well, I guess we will wrap things up. It's been over an hour. The only way to heal is to focus on growth and accomplishments. I agree. It's hard sometimes, but you have to make the best of situations when you can. Thanks, Weston Flock. The Weston Flock.
Oh, that's really nice.
That means a lot.
Thank you for sharing.
It's difficult because I'm never sure whether we should share this on our YouTube channel or if there's a better outlet for it. But I just feel like it's necessary to share somewhere. You know what I mean?
Because everyone has a brain, and you may injure it someday, or you may know someone who might, right?
Yeah, and maybe it's
And
applicable to other areas. You know what I mean? Like maybe
Yeah.
people have anxiety without knowing that they've had brain injury,
Yeah.
where some of these things can be applicable.
Yeah.
Maybe they suffer depression, that some of these things could be applicable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I think just sharing it on our channel, like our channel is Ralph and Lou and what we're going through.
Yeah, it's our life right now, so
Yeah.
that is what it is, and we're trying to figure that out still. I did want to mention when you were talking about that too, is I did go through therapy, and I don't often mention that as a part of my recovery process or the therapies.
Yeah.
But counseling was part of my later strategy for recovery, because, and this is a whole other thing, Vicky, that I sort of resonate with on becoming a new person, is I had and still carry a lot of resentment towards old friends, because there was a significant drop-off in friendships when things got real, you know? And that's where you realize, the people who are invested in you, and your health and your success and your well-being.
Yeah.
And yeah.
For sure.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, the Weston Flock. That means a lot. Guys, don't forget to enter that competition, or the contest in the description. Don't worry about doing all of the entries. Just pick the easiest one for you. I want to make sure that somebody gets lovely DoTerra PastTense oil.
That will help them.
And there's also a link in there if you want to buy the oil.
If you don't win it.
I will say quickly, because I was trying to figure this out with Heather earlier today, how you could purchase the oil. But if you just go to her website, because she is a doTerra representative, you can go to her website, and that's in the description. It's aptly named myoillady.com. So don't worry, it is a safe for work website. You can go there and then just click on shop and search past tense, and it's the roll-on oil, and it ships anywhere in North America. So the contest is only for North America. Sorry guys if you are outside of the United States or Canada. But again, I want to give that away, so check it out. Check out the podcast. Please share it with somebody if they would benefit from it. There's 2 podcasts. The first one is on what a concussion is, the mechanism of a concussion, what causes concussion, and the second conversation is on prevention and mechanism. And both of these conversations were with the doctor that was very helpful for me in my recovery. We did vestibular training. We did what else did we do? He referred me to the neurooptometrist that got me my glasses. He was very helpful in my recovery. He invited me to his home, and we had a conversation about all this stuff. And I was very happy that he was willing to do that, because he's super busy. He's constantly giving lectures and doing research on this stuff. So he's very knowledgeable. The podcast has tons of information, and I'd love it if you guys would check it out and share it with somebody who could benefit from the information. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah. This was cool.
This was cool. And I want to just end off everything to say it's hard to relive. I said that weird. It's hard to relive the past and talk about it. But I just want to make it clear that I'm very, I'm doing much better. There is progress, and there's progress for anybody else going through the same thing. You can do things to improve it, and it sucks, and it takes a long time. But
yeah,
I'm doing much better.
Yeah.
I'm learning to deal with the new normal. Lots of things have improved hugely, and I think it's probably a little bit easier for Lou to live with me now. Hopefully.
I'm thankful for that. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
Good.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
You can always email us or hit us up anywhere on social media. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome night, and we'll see you next week after Thanksgiving, because it's Thanksgiving in Canada this weekend. Enter the contest, and we'll pick the winner on Monday. All right, peace out.
Bye, guys.
Anything to add, Lou?
Thanks for commenting. No, just take care of yourself.
Yes. Health is priority.
Yeah. So much to be thankful for.
It's true.
That is true. Have a good night, everybody.
John, you held in the whole time. You're the best. Good night. Night, guys.
Night.
Thanks, Heather. Guys, go enter the contest. And then if you want to buy oil, go to the myoillady.com. I'm telling you, it's safe for work. Okay. Good night.